again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me. Gon' back it up. Matter what? Told you I'ma do me. Why you hating on me? It's not adding up.
Yo, welcome back to another episode of the Epic Podcast. We're a little light in the house today, just me and Jared, man. How was your sports weekend?
It's cool, man. I was glad to see the Lakers finally get put out of their misery so I can move on with my life.
Knew you was
um,
going to start with this.
really, pretty much that's it. The Reds up and down per usual. Ain't nothing too much going on. How about yours?
It was cool, man. Outside of the Pacers just not closing out the other night.
That's nuts.
Yeah, and then Dallas not coming back but not finishing the job. I'm a Luka and Kyrie fan, so
Oh yeah,
but
I'm at the Open too.
yeah, them not closing out. So I didn't really get none of the closeouts that I really wanted. But
The bright side of the Lakers losing, though, that sets us up for a Denver and Minnesota series. That's gonna be crazy.
yeah,
Both those teams are just unrelentless.
yeah. So
Like this Nuggets team is kind of almost reminding me of the Warriors during that era. You like some games like they just weren't gonna lose. Like no matter
yeah,
how much.
and they kind of they willed themselves to some wins,
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm saying.
and
That's,
battled through.
that's
Yeah,
what Denver is like down the stretch when they need a bucket. Because I mean, Denver's a few buckets away from that being a 4-1 Lakers win
easily,
easily.
easily.
And I don't want to sound crazy by saying that, but if you watch every second of all those games like I did, one or two plays shift that
Yes,
it turns that series
you
literally
got
over.
to think Murray hit 2 game winners.
Yeah,
So that in itself lets you know that's 2 games.
yeah.
And if he'd have missed 2 shots, would
Every
have went
single
the other
game
way.
they had a
And
double
then
digit lead.
is that and like I said, then the 20 point lead that they blew. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's like yeah, no, the Lakers could have won that series. So I'm not
Clearly, the
like
Nuggets are the better team. No, I'm not trying to say
yes, no,
that
oh yeah,
because had they lost to the Lakers, that would have been probably one of the biggest shit jobs ever. So no, I don't want nobody to think that I'm saying that the Lakers are a better team than the Nuggets. But given how those games played out, the Lakers had no reason to lose 4-1. Like I said, I posted a status. I'm like, man, that was the most entertaining and competitive 4-1 series I've ever seen.
yep.
So
Well,
take that for what it's worth.
yeah, man. Well, speaking of that, man, let's just jump into talking about the NBA, man. They got a couple of award winners out right now. Celtics, Stevenson, he wins Executive of the Year. The Thunder's coach, he wins Coach of the Year. Curry wins Clutch Player of the Year. Wolves Reed wins Sixth Man of the Year, and Mike Conley wins Teammate of the Year.
How does the clutch player of the year not make the playoffs?
I don't know,
And I
but
like Curry, no disrespect, but
I think that I mean it's of course it's regular season.
it's really just a stupid award anyway.
Yeah, they just came up with that. That hasn't always been a reward.
that's
I think
ridiculous.
Kia kind of came up with that, but
They need to
it
get
is
rid of
what it
that
is.
stupid. Because I mean,
Um,
if your team didn't qualify for the playoffs, there is no way, even during the regular season, that makes your qualification for the playoffs. If your team didn't make the playoffs, there's no way that you can be, you know, clutch. I mean, I don't know. I
well,
don't really
maybe
know
he
the
was
rules
just
of that.
clutching certain games. You know what I mean,
Because
or
if you
whatever. Like
average 15 points every fourth quarter, then whatever. But I haven't looked at those numbers, so I'm not
me
sure.
neither. Like I said, I don't know the qualifications for
Yeah.
clutch
Shout out to
player.
Curry though. I like Steph Curry. It's kind of sad to see it possibly be over.
Yeah,
I'm
what
not.
do you think about that? Like, I mean, because I've been hearing. Of course, we hear everything just because we're in all these groups and you know between X and Twitter and Instagram, everything. You see a lot, you hear a lot. What do you think they should do? Should they just chalk it up and start over, or do
Man,
they just kind of retool, bring in some younger guys, and just kind of you know?
it depends on how you look at it, man. If you're looking at it from a Warriors fan standpoint, man, you can't never break up their team. You're obligated to keep that team together until they decide that they no longer want to be together. From a business standpoint, I think I mean I would have got rid of Draymond too. Was that he resigned last year?
Yeah,
I wouldn't have did that. So I would have cut ties with him then, and then you could have possibly brought. But I mean, if you look at it, they still have way more talent than the average team.
I agree with
No,
that.
no team has. Well, I ain't gonna say no team, but very few teams have four guys with All NBA, experience. Wiggins been all, but you know what I mean. Wiggins is in that top third. They have four guys. Well, three guys in
With
there.
potential, that potential to be, yes.
Yeah, and then you got Draymond that's just kind of a jack of all trades. So like they have enough to still win. You got Kuminga, you had Trace Jackson Davis played well this year. You have the talent. They have a way better team. They
I just
argue
think Clay's inconsistency kind of held him back a little bit this year.
that's what I'm saying. Even with that, he's still
They were
talented.
still no, yeah, absolutely.
Figure something else out to get him some easy buckets, like posting
Yeah,
up a little bit more.
I think if
Do
they get
something.
one more like spot up shoot, somebody else,
Yeah,
because Wiggins is kind of off the dribble. He's kind of a slasher to me. He likes to attack the bucket. You know what I mean? He gets his mid range, but he's not really a
30,
threat. Yeah,
25, 30 on any given night.
yeah. But I mean, I'm just saying like it's got to be something to take the pressure off of Clay. Curry gonna do what Curry does. Draymond, he's just an effort guy, but like who else? Like if somebody's not having a good night, you need that person. And it's supposed to be Wiggins. But after his
Yeah.
mom died, like he was different too.
His mom died?
I believe so.
Damn.
This season, because he had missed some games. And I
I know
think it's
he
because
missed
his
some of
mom
it
passed
last
away.
season, but I didn't hear about anything this season. But I mean,
Yeah.
and I get that, but come on, man, that team is still
I
one of the
agree. It
most
is.
talented teams in the NBA, like hands down. I would say top five if you're just looking at roster potential, what they should be, could be doing.
Oh
Come on,
yeah. Yeah.
that team has a top five roster in the NBA.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. Um So yeah, these are some of the early awards. They haven't announced, of course, the MVPs and Defensive Player of Years, NBA First Teams. None of that stuff has been announced yet. So, but when it does, we'll get y'all that list also. Staying with the NBA, we're gonna start off in the East because I feel like there's more to talk about in the West. Very competitive Eastern Conference playoffs. Celtics lead the Heat right now 3-1. Cavs and Magic are battling. They going back and forth. Anybody can win that series. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Magic ran off two in a row, or if Cavs closed out the Magic next game. Pacers lead the Bucks 3-2, which they're leaving the Bucks. I mean, the Pacers are leaving the doors open for the Bucks. The possibility of a Giannis maybe this game, or if it goes seven, definitely that seventh game he'll be back. From what I hear. And then the Knicks lead the Sixers 3-2 after the Sixers win last night. Very hard fought game. Maxey and Embiid came up big. I mean, both played to their fullest potential that last game. Did you see the end of that game? It went to OT.
Man, you know what? It was crazy because I was chilling with the fam, and then I seen New York was up six with like 50 seconds to go. So I'm like, ain't no point in turning that on. So
Right.
I'm playing with the kids. You know what I'm saying? We just chilling, and then I don't even know how I realized that. I think I ended up watching the second game, the late game or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and they showed the highlights. I'm like, what? Like
Right.
they was up by, and I think they were up by six with 50 something seconds left, and then they were up by like four with like 20 something. So I was like,
No,
wow,
there was up three, and then because Tyrese Maxey hit two threes back to
yeah,
back to tie it.
that's crazy.
So like deep ones too. Like this
Yeah,
is he was at least 30 feet.
yeah,
So
that was nuts. So I did not catch the end of that because by the time I realized what was going on, I thought it was over. So I
yeah.
just, you know what I'm saying, kept doing what I was doing, and come to find out, they came back and won. Crazy.
Yeah, the Sixers are still fighting, man. But I think like when you had those 3-1 leads, and that's what I was saying about the Pacers also. When you had those 3-1 leads and you give away that closeout game, like it's always it starts creeping in, especially to a team like the Bucks, playoff championship experience. You know what I mean? To a young Pacer team, a Sixers team who's been consistent. You know what I mean? In the playoffs, been competing for the Eastern Conference, and against the Knicks, it's like, do you want to keep leaving that door open?
Yeah, I think it's really crucial if the home team is up 3-1
Yeah,
because like the situation the Lakers was in, had they got that game 5, they would have been going back home.
to LA. Yeah,
Anything can happen at the crib, and then you win that, you set up a game 7. That's anybody's game. So
yeah,
like I agree with you. That 3-1, you gotta close that door because that 3-2 started to get spooky,
yeah.
especially when you're up. You're the home team, and that game 6 is back at their
At their
crib.
house. Yep.
It'll get real spooky real quick. So yeah,
Yeah, so I can't even say I wasn't nervous about the. I mean, I knew that the Bucks were going to come out and give them their best push, especially with Bobby Porter's like back in the lineup, and like I say, he's just one of them. He's streaky, but like he's energy also. So it's like if he come with that energy and he get going, it's like and what
yeah,
he do. I think he dropped like 30 last night or something like that. Like it was
yeah,
crazy. He went crazy last night, and they gave him their best foot. So like I mean, Pacers are really gonna have to really come out swinging this next game and can't even say go up big because I think they were up. Like they went crazy in the first quarter with threes, but then down the stretch they just couldn't hit shots. They couldn't convert. But um, I think anybody is not really worried. The only probably is the Celtics. Is probably the only team that's not really worried. I mean, of course they have a 3-1. They play tonight, but
yeah.
if the Heat gets one, if a Heat get another one, do you start thinking the same thing?
Nah, I
Nah.
I think that series is over. And even with the Knicks really have no pressure because homeboy's out, Julius Randle.
Oh
So
yeah.
I feel like even if they were to somehow lose that, it's like, arguably your best player is missing. It is what it is. Move on. So I don't think any of the teams really
That
have any
makes sense.
pressure. The Pacers were the lower seed coming in. They should be beating the Bucks without Giannis and
And
without Dame.
Dame.
There's no
Mm-hmm.
excuse for that. But the Pacers are still a young team, super unexperienced. That's the kind of things that happen. Like
I
that's
agree.
going,
And that's what I was
nobody.
saying. That's what I was saying about the Bucks and the Knicks. Like they're both young, inexperienced playoff teams
Yeah,
right now, and like they're playing against these consistent 2-3 seeds. You know what I mean? 1, 2, 3
yeah,
seeds in the East. You know what I mean? For the past couple of years, it's like, do you want to leave that door open for it? Like I said, the Sixers or the Bucks, a team that could just like the Bucks show last night, they could will their way to a win. Like the Sixers show last night, like they're not giving in. Like I
yeah.
don't know if you just want to keep leaving those door opens for either one of those teams. So
I feel like either Pacers and 6 or Bucks and 7, which is crazy because
yeah,
they should be blowing the doors off the Bucks. But Pacers and 6, Bucks and 7 is what I'm predicting.
I
But I'm
would
always
not.
wrong too though. So
Not always
you know what? I can analyze the crap out of some stuff that I see, but when it comes to guessing or predicting outcomes, terrible.
wrong. Not
I
that way.
I, I talk I break down some shit that I see.
I'm
So
always
there's
wrong.
no problem with that.
Yeah. Let's jump over to the West real quick. So of course, with this super competitive Western Conference, you got all these teams above 500 that's fighting for playing spots and playoff spots. You have two sweeps in the first round. You get the Thunder sweeping the Pelicans, and then the Timberwolves sweeping the Suns. You got the Nuggets. Nuggets beat the Lakers 4-1, and then if you say gentlemen sweep on that, and then the Clippers and Mavs are the only ones fighting. The 4 and 5 seed. So I think we kind of know what the Pelicans are, but of course they didn't have Zion, and they were in all of those games except for one. I think the Thunder only blew them out one game by double digits. The rest of them was within 10 points. So
Yeah,
I think a Zion in there probably makes a difference in that series,
for sure.
and they probably go 7 games. Um,
I don't know, 7, maybe 6, but I
I'm
mean,
just thinking about how close the games was. Like
yeah,
you get a Zion who's averaging, between 20 and 30 points a game. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
it's
You get
definitely
that
closer
production.
for sure.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like, at least go. You could
I don't
possibly
know if
see
I
a
give
seventh
them
game.
3 games. I definitely give them 1 or 2 minimum. 3 games might be kind of pushing it, but I
No,
mean, like I
I'm just
said,
saying they wouldn't. If the Thunder was blowing them out each game in those 4 wins, then I would say, okay, yeah, give him one or two. But I'm like, with a Zion, and y'all was barely winning without a Zion, like I say it would have just been tougher games. And I said a possibility of seven. You could six would probably could be accurate too,
Somewhere
but
around
just a
in there.
possibility of a
They
seven.
definitely wouldn't have got swept. I think we can
No,
both agree on that.
nah. Timberwolves sweep the Suns.
That's crazy. I just don't understand what
I wanted to hear your thoughts on this because
how
I
guys
mean,
can't hoop. Like, but then again, it comes back to that coaching, man. It's like I think coaching is just underrated at this point. Like, you gotta get a coach because, like, and this is my thing here. This is how I define who's a good coach, who's a bad coach. Okay, so what does Frank Vogel like to do offensively? What does he like to do defensively? What kind of plays does he like to run? What nobody knows. He has no identity. Like I think that's how I judge
he's
who's a
more
bad
known for
coach.
a defensive coach just because like when he was with the I just know from when he was with the Pacers, like that's just what he was known as. And then
What
even
defense?
with the Lakers, like that's just been his calling card. So I think with the Suns picking him up, there's like, okay, like offensively, we believe we have enough talent offensively to score with anybody. But on the defensive end, we haven't been good on the defensive end. So if he can bring in some strategy to help us defend,
Man,
then our talent should be able to
Frank
help us on the
Vogel is you
offensive
and
end.
I with the vocabulary.
I'm just saying. I'm just
Frank
saying what they say.
Vogel
I'm not saying that I agree. I
Frank
mean,
Vogel is
I'm
you and I
not a
with the
fan of
basketball
Frank.
vocabulary. I'm not going.
I'm not like I said. I'm not a fan of Frank Vogel. I
He's
didn't
done
like him when he was
nothing.
at the Pacers.
He's done nothing to show his elite coaching ability. Like he's us.
No.
Oh, come on, guys, we got to rebound. Come on, guys, we got to defend.
I
Push the
mean,
ball.
outside of winning the bubble champion, I don't like calling it the bubble champion. He won championship with the Lakers.
Man, that was
Um,
skill. Unfortunately, I feel like all of LeBron's success has just been his team skill. Like
yeah.
there isn't much there wasn't much strategy in that. They had guys, they put it together, they won. I'm not discrediting the team or the victory. They did earn it, but I don't think much of that was Frank Vogel. I mean, you
Right.
see what happened after that.
So you really think the Timberwolves sweeping the Suns that was just all coaching?
Lack of coaching, absolutely. Because like, how can you not get those three guys to hoop? Granted,
I look at it at this point. Those are three
Grace,
veterans and a surefire Hall of
you
Famer.
just
Like
gotta
if
put it
you have to
together,
get
though.
them hooping,
Okay,
like in
so if
that
that's the case,
sense.
then why have a coach? If it's all, like if
I
it's
mean,
all on them, why even have one?
I'm not saying it like that, but it's like, and I think Shaq, and Charles Barkley was having this argument too. Like, if you're coming in, like I shouldn't have to get you going. Like
That's true.
you should come in like somebody, especially somebody you look at a KD and Devin Booker. This is supposed to be your team. Like KD, you done been here before with multiple teams. You done been to the championship 3 times. Like you know what it takes. So nobody should have to get you going. It shouldn't take an elimination game for you to put up 30 plus points. Like that should automatically be your mindset. You should go out there and dominate. Devin Booker, you know how to score. Like you know what I mean.
I
Bill.
understand that,
So
but
I'm just looking at it. Was just crazy to me. Like
what if a
how
team
they
comes
just
out
didn't see they come out like
What if a
motivated.
team comes out and like what if they double KD? So as a coach, you
Right.
have to figure out a way to counter that
Yeah.
and make them pay. And
Yeah.
it's like if you're not doing that, you can't blame the player. I mean, if he's been, I'm not saying he was because I didn't really watch too much of that series. I'm just saying this is just an example. If
Mhm.
one of your guys is getting doubled, they're taking the ball out of his hands. It's on you to find a way to counter that. Whether you switch the lineup, you go big, you go small, you put them on a block instead. Um, Whatever you need to do, it's your job. That's what your job is. And I understand. I agree with you when you're saying they shouldn't have to, get them to get. But as a coach, you need to be able to motivate your team and be able to get them say the right things to get the best effort out of said individual.
Or like you said, calling the
Where-
right plays or putting them in the right sets. Like, hey, look, I
Right.
know KD likes this set. He ain't been going. He haven't. You know what I mean? He didn't have a stellar first quarter. You know what I mean? I'm gonna run this set in the second quarter to get him going, and you know what I mean? I'm gonna keep running it until you get going. So either you can, snap out of it and start knocking down some shots and get, you know what I mean, get your head on straight, or you know what I mean. So I see what you're saying from a coach and being able to say the right things,
Yeah.
also. But it's like, man, like it's just something, and I don't like to put it all on KD, but I look at him as like you're the best player on the team,
Right.
and you're the common
Grayson Allen was out too.
denominator, huh?
So we'll Grayson Allen. I think he
Yeah,
played one game this series,
yeah.
and he was killing. I think he's like top five in the league in 3-point shooting. At one point, I think he was leading at one
I
point.
think he led the league in 3-point percentage.
Yeah. So like he was missing. You know, I never put it on a team that when they don't have their full, their full complement of players. Because I mean, even like the Lakers were missing Vanderbilt and Christian Wood.
Yeah,
So it's just like, what would that have made a difference? Maybe, maybe not. But fact
I
remains
think
that they were,
Woods is another body you can throw at Jokic. You know what I
and he could
mean?
shoot threes, so he could
Mm-hmm.
have pulled Jokic away a little bit as well.
Yeah,
And also, he could have moved AD over to the four with
yeah.
having Christian. So I mean, it shakes up some things. So I mean, it's not. It makes a difference. I'm not one of those kind of people. Oh, injuries don't make it.
No,
Injuries are
no, no,
the game.
no.
They're
Definitely.
absolutely a part of the game, but they
In
are a
every sport.
circumstance that sometimes can't be you can't do nothing about it, i.e. NBA Finals 2015.
Yeah.
But LeBron lost the finals. Well, LeBron was missing his second and third options. So like what in what world, that would be like expecting Jordan to win without Pippen and Rodman.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So like, yes, injuries are a part of the game, but there are also circumstances that go into wins and losses. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no, and then like I think KD after, after they got swept or whatever, he was talking about like um his role in the offense. He didn't really care for it, or he didn't like it, or they wasn't I
he could,
guess using him properly. So I mean, like you said, coaching, like you said, plays a part in that too. Um
yeah,
and
you
Frank
gotta
Vogel,
hold on
he's
to those kind of comments though. I mean, if you'd have said that during the middle of the season, all right, but at the end, come on, man. Hey,
but they all, it always comes out at the end of once the season is over. Like they
yeah,
always express themselves freely, especially when you ain't got nothing to lose. But again,
right,
like the Suns are really tied. You know what I mean? Like the only part, like they can't move Booker.
right.
They can't. I mean, they can't move Bill. The only people they can move is Booker and or KD. Like the
And
rest of the
Booker's
rest of the
I feel like Booker's the franchise. You can't move him.
exactly.
But
Like
but then it's still kind of messed up how they broke up that team that went to the finals. That was nuts. Because that team had everything that I was reading something or watching something where everything that the Suns need now they had.
they
They
had
had a
it.
point guard. They had two wings that were reliable and could shoot, could could
Could
slash.
defend. You had
Yeah,
a point
you
guard.
feel
Like you
yeah,
had everything.
defend. You had that. You had one of the greatest point guards of all time. Granted, you got an opportunity to bring KD in, which KD is a dog, so I'm not slighting that. But going into the season, I was even like, I mean, well, man, you don't have a point guard, you know. And then people's like, oh, well, Booker can run a point. Yeah, all right. Booker is a killer. He's a shooter. He's a scorer. He's not a point guard. He's not about to create for anybody.
No,
KD, killer, dog, scorer, shooter. He's not about to create no offense for anybody. Bradley Bill,
same
dog,
thing.
shooter, scorer. He's not creating anything for anybody.
That's not what they've been
Even
having
Eric,
to do in their careers. None
yeah,
of
even
them has
Eric
been a
Gordon,
facilitator.
shooter. Eric
Nope,
Gordon's a
shooter.
shooter. He's not about to set up no, but he's not about to control no game. Even
Nope.
if you would have had like a campaign or something on that roster, that I mean he ain't the greatest, but you need
No, but
somebody
when
that's
Chris Paul was out, like he did very
yeah,
well at
you
the
need
point.
somebody that's at least willing to try to set some guys up. None of them guys, that's just not their MO. They're pure scores. They're
Yep.
buckets. And you gotta have somebody to run the show. And they didn't have that. And I really want to know what their assist totals look like. Who was even tops in that?
Cause see, I agree with that. Like especially like with KD, like everywhere he's been successful at, he's had somebody else facilitating. But again, another thing that comes with KD, not a lot of postseason success outside of the Warriors. Like
Yeah, I hate
in the
that.
Warrior, and it's like you said, it sucks to say it, but it's one of them things that like the Warriors already like you just kind of plug and play. Like they already had the recipe to success. You know what I mean? So you just come in there and you just drop your little 30 and go home. You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't, on him, but like everywhere else, you look at, you know, OKC, you look at Brooklyn, like when it's on him, it's not good. He got to go somewhere where they already have a system. They already have some guys in place to where he can just plug and play. Like literally, just hey, I just go out here, get my buckets, and go home.
Yeah, I definitely
Whenever
feel
time he's responsible for kind of being the leader or the voice or anything like that, it don't work.
yeah, I try to not go for that, but I mean, what it's looking like is that's what it is because I know KD's a killer, like
Yeah, on the court,
killer, like so. I
in
like, bro,
between those lines is undeniable.
Buddy could go 0-82, and I'm still be like, KD's that same dog that I
Absolutely,
thought it was.
absolutely. In between those lines, he's a killer.
Yeah,
But with those, what I think what KD didn't or don't have or don't understand is that would come with being that type of killer that you are, like it comes with some responsibility in the locker room.
right.
And
I don't think I don't think
I
he
don't
wants
think that's what he wants. He's like, look, I'm gonna go out here and do my job. Y'all need to do y'all's. Like, I think that's his pep talk.
Nah, you ain't lying.
But so I mean, hopefully they figure it out. Like you said, because they're kind of they're kind of tied. You know what I mean? Unless they just let people go, but you're not gonna be able to get nothing back. You know what I mean? Just because all the picks and stuff you didn't gave away. Um, and Bradley Beal has a no trade call, so can't really move him. You're gonna be stuck with two out of the three at least. And it
Hey, we
kind of
might
looked like
have to
KD
talk.
will be the odd guy out just because, like
You,
you said, Devin is the franchise.
do you think that Bill would refuse to go somewhere else? Like, has he came out and said that he's not willing to? Just
I
because he
don't
has a no
think
trade clause, don't mean that he wouldn't be willing to be
I
traded.
think he'd be, but again, like for his injury history, his performance in the playoffs, and then like you drop your no trade clause with that contract. You know what I mean? Because he's up there close to 50 also.
Yeah, I think he's over 50.
Yeah,
Really?
I'm just saying. I'm not sure the number, but I know it's close to 50. Either you know what I mean. He's either at 48. He'd be between 48 and 55. So with that contract, you're gonna take that on. Where who's taking that on? You know what I mean for what you
Right.
just did. You know what I mean. It's kind of like look, just stay put.
That's a great point.
Just kind of stay
I don't
home.
know who's actually would take that. That's a
I
great
just
point.
I wouldn't be like, look, I mean, I know what you're capable of. Like if you just
I
stay with
think
that Washington mind state, like I know what you can be, but what you have been is
I would
nothing since your
I would
injuries.
I would love to see LeBron with a perimeter killer.
Yeah.
I think that's he ain't really had that since Kyrie.
Yep.
Somebody who could,
Who
get it
can literally go
like the Jamal
isolation and
Murray.
create on their own.
Yeah, I would love to see him with like a Jamal Murray type of somebody who can
Yep.
walk you down and get a bucket on demand, like you know.
Yep.
AD can, but it's just
DeJounte Murray, they've been talking about him and him or I ain't gonna say him and him or Trey Young, but I don't like the Trey Young though.
yeah. A lot of people don't. I'm rolling with it because
So
I think for LeBron's situation, like we just talked about, those games came down to just a couple more shots, and I think that
yeah.
Trae Young could make those couple more shots to
But
push.
do you give up a like a Austin Reeves for that?
Man, bro, if I
Because
could give
that's who
up
gotta
Austin
go.
Reeves and bring in Trae Young, I'm rolling.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I'm
Sure.
just
Because
saying,
that's
I'm
another
just,
thing that Austin Reeves can't do. People will talk about, Trae Young this, Trae Young that. Trae Young will and can get people going and get people set up and run offense. Austin Reeves can't do that. At least he hasn't showed it. And then
mhm.
that's probably where
But I think they like
negative things play.
I
Maybe he
think,
hasn't.
but with Austin Reeves though, his defensive ability too. Like Austin
Oh
Reeves
yeah,
can
he
get
be
you
getting cooked.
buckets, but he can, but Trey Young is going, Trey
Yeah,
Young
he be
gets
getting cooked too.
killed. So it's like, how do you hide him on defense? You know what I mean? Like,
So I guess the same way you hire homeboy Austin Reeves because they be seeking him out. He be getting cooked.
yeah, sometimes, but I'm, yeah, I don't know. That's just tough. I mean, that's just tough. I mean, I don't know. It's like I feel like the Lakers are right there. Like, you know what I mean? And just I
Yeah,
think with people who, even if you don't like LeBron, you just see the end of the tunnel right there, kind of. You know
yeah.
what I mean? In a couple years, give or take. And it's like, man, if he could just squeeze out one more, I think everybody will just be like, okay, like, you know what I mean? You could just be okay with that, with this run of greatness being over with one more.
Oh, I'm already.
I mean,
I,
I'm okay with. I'm just talking about like like anybody who knows anything of LeBron.
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Just kind of like, okay, like, yeah, we're astonished at what he's doing at 39 years old, but it's like, if he gets one more championship, it's like, okay, he can ride off into the sunset, and you don't have to feel like, all right, what if? You know what I mean?
right.
So, and I think the only game we ain't really talked. I mean, the Clippers, Mavs, man, they're just battling. What Harden did the other night was ridiculous.
My boy.
That man dropped 6 floaters back to back to win this game. And I am not exaggerating. It was the same move
Numbers, man.
six
Hard
times.
action.
6 times. But again, it's hard for me to get behind the Clippers because they have no closers. The only closer they have is Kawhi, and he's not playing, or he's not playing a lot. So Paul George, he's choked in the playoffs when he was with OKC. Um, Harden is notorious with the Rockets and everywhere else he done been to not show up in the playoffs.
Damn.
Westbrook, another one. Like, what does he give you in the playoffs, really? Outside of it just being on him, he'll will you to one, but like none of these guys are closeout guys. And you look at somebody like Kyrie and Luka, they relish that moment. And you can just see how they went back and forth to the last game. But I think it's gonna be this is gonna be hard fought if they keep playing games like that. And if you get Kawhi, it's gonna be hard fought. But I think if it come down to it, I put my chips on the side of the Mavericks in clutch moments. Because even Kyrie went crazy at the end of
Yeah,
he was
they're having a
he
good.
hit some he hit some shit like so. That's definitely gonna be a good series. I'm ready for Game 5. But let's switch gears, man. Let's jump over to the NFL, man. Gonna talk a little draft. So this is the actual draft, like how it played out versus what the mock draft was. Some people had Daniels to New England, and Drake May kind of switched. Marvin Harrison to Arizona was always kind of there outside of people and teams potentially trading up. But I heard nobody wanted to move. I heard Arizona wanted to stay at 4. Basically, especially what I heard from Chris Ballard, like, all his interviews and stuff. He was like, look, we reached out, but nobody wanted to move in the top 10. We seen some guys up there we may have wanted, but we couldn't get up there. What people were asking for, or basically nobody really wanted to move unless you were, given, auction in the house.
Right.
So I think the Chargers at 5 taking an offensive lineman. Do you, instead of a weapon? What do you think about that? I know we were talking about, hey, they need weapons.
Man, you know how I feel about offensive linemen in the first round. If I'm calling shots, I'm never doing it. Never doing it. Um, that's just that I just don't. I feel like having the size is 90% of being an NFL offensive lineman. Get your footwork together, get a little quickness, some speed, handwork, and you're good. I feel like a lineman is a second, third round, potentially fourth, fifth round position. That's just my honest opinion. I'm sorry.
Mm.
So I'm never taking if I need, unless that's the only hole that I have. If I need other things, offensive lineman isn't going to be my first round pick. I'm always going to go to weapon first, and then if the weapon, if Herbert and Marvin Harrison Jr. can't figure it out, or they don't have enough time, then we'll bring in somebody, or we'll trade for a lineman, or I'll just bring in linemen every week. I'll bring in a new lineman every week, work him out, see what he's capable of doing until I find one that can block. Like playing offensive lineman way back in my day, it was the easiest position to learn. So I'm never ever taking lineman first round. I think we see more offensive linemen fail that were drafted in the first round than we
You
see
believe
actually
so?
succeed. I Every single one that the Bengals have had has been trash. I can't really speak for everybody else,
I
but
was gonna say, like, we got Quentin Nelson in the first round. Like, he's,
cool. That's cool. But yeah,
all pro. Like,
Yeah, a lot of
It's
these
like
guys.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, well, I guess it's not any more than any other position because I mean, let's
Yeah, I'm
talk
about to say,
quarterback
yeah,
in the
they're
first
not
round.
overly like failing. I would probably say, if anything, QB is probably the highest failure rate,
Yeah,
just because it's
I would
only
probably agree.
32 positions. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so it's kind of
I
hard to hit
probably
on
agree
that.
with that.
Where you
But me
got
personally,
receivers, you know, what I mean, you can have five receivers. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
me
You have
personally, I'm not taking
five
them.
offensive linemen. So like to hit on one of them is kind of like you say easier than QBs.
Mhm.
But I'm not mad at that only because like you got to protect your quarterback. It's every game starts in the trenches in football. Like it always starts at the in. I believe if I was building a team, I'm building from the inside out. Especially if you already got your QB and weapons. Like you said, this was kind of a deep um, draft for receivers anyway. So you may not have had to get first round talent to get impact players. The Giants at six takes neighbors. I think we were talking about a QB possibly there. Like, did you? I mean, of course they needed a weapon also because you've already invested in your quarterback and paid him 40 million. So, is that a good fit? But because they took who they take last year, they took a receiver in the first round last year.
Who the Giants?
Yes, who
Man,
was it?
lying. Was it the Jalen Hyatt kid?
Yeah, from Tennessee, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, that's Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah, so I mean, again, like you got to keep. I mean, you're losing all your. You don't have Barkley no more, so like you got to do something. I think Tennessee did good with offensive lineman at 7, just because they got all their weapons.
Right.
So if nothing else, protect your rookie. Now Atlanta at 8.
Crazy.
This has been the talk, and I think when this happened, like we were kind of like, oh, okay, cool, but why? Like, and I think the whole world has kind of been on that same tip with Penix. Like, yes, if you're gonna, he's already 24. Do you really believe in sitting him for 3 years?
Man, that's crazy. I don't know what they're thinking with that. Like I can't even wrap my head around even beginning to try to break that down. That was just nuts.
I mean, they
Um,
kind of said they were trying to take the Green Bay approach, but damn.
nah, bro. Nah. That's all I have to say about that. It's just nah.
Especially when you have holes on defense and stuff like that. Like, and this wasn't a
Yeah,
deep defensive line, linebacker draft. This wasn't deep in those positions. Um, so I mean, yeah.
nah.
I mean, last year I think it was like 70 something different quarterbacks started. So if you're looking at like, okay, he is coming back off of an ACL. If something was to happen where he potentially got hurt, I mean, I guess you do have somebody capable of coming in and you can see what they got early on. But that's an if.
Yeah, they had to have gone
You
into
don't
the
want to plan for that.
situation basically saying that they're gonna take best available.
Yeah,
Because
but you
again, I thought Michael Penix was the best quarterback in the draft. That's my hot take. So I've been saying I've made that clear on a number of occasions. So maybe they felt hey, we're just gonna take the best player available regardless of what position. And I mean, I guess that's what they did.
yeah, that's like you said. I still think that's crazy though.
Oh,
Um,
it's definitely crazy for sure.
Chicago grabs a wide receiver, which I think
So,
that's a great
the
grab
offense is gonna
to
be
get
more.
Williams and get a top receiver in the draft also.
Mhm.
And then Minnesota jumps up, trades with the Jets to get McCarthy, so they get their QB also. Um, that's just the top 10, of course. I don't want to go through all of them, but I want to elaborate on our teams, of course. So you said Bengals. I looked at the draft grades, what they gave them on NFL.com. So they gave the Bengals a B minus. And they did it by rounds also. Well, they get first round or they get it by days. I'm sorry, not rounds. So a C in the first round, which I think you pretty much test to that because you were like, why,
It's
this
crazy.
guy?
It's crazy.
So they actually agree with you because I was like, man, like is Jared just being harsh on like he's always so harsh on the Bengals.
Because I mean, they deserve to be harsh on. Like, I'm not gonna be harsh
Harsh on.
if I don't have to. I don't benefit anything from being harsh. I'm
Right.
just
No, I'm just saying, like, I was
always
like,
gonna
well,
tell
maybe he
how
was
I
right.
feel.
So they
And
gave y'all a C day one, a B plus day two, and then a B day three. So, like I said, you get offensive lineman, 18th overall. You get DT Chris Jenkins from Michigan. You get Jermaine Burton from Alabama, which I don't think that's a bad pickup. Texas A&M nose tackle. McKinley Jackson, Iowa tight end, Eric All, which Iowa produces great tight ends. So I think if that may be a good pickup. TCU DB Josh Newton. So that's day two. I think they gave you a B plus on all those. Do you get a tight end from Arizona? I don't know who that is. Tenor, I can't say his last name.
me,
Mississippi, you get two Mississippi players from DN Cedric Johnson and then a DB Anthony, and then you get a center from Matt Lee. Do they address their needs to you?
no, it's just, man, like I said, it's just deeper than rap with the Bengals, man. It's just like we're drafting the same positions over and over and over again. The positions that we drafted last year, that we again drafted this year, didn't even get enough reps to find out if they were even good enough to be the guy or not. So it's just like,
Right.
how do you draft? And it's not. I can see seventh round pick. Say you draft a safety in the seventh round pick, and then you turn around and draft another safety. I get that, but we're drafting guys in the third round, and then drafting the same position over again. It's like the guy last year didn't even get enough play to even be able to. And like,
No,
I'm not at every practice unless the guy just stinks at practice. But then my question would be, why everybody y'all drafts up? Like, what's going on? Like, is there a lack of? It's already a well known fact that the Bengals don't have as many scouts as everybody else. So that's a fact. So that
right.
could be true, but it's
Still at some point.
what's going on there where none of your picks can, and then you got the bank, like I said this all the time, you got the brainwashed Bengal fans. Oh, but we picked Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow.
But
Come on,
those are no brainer like
no
first round
brainer.
top picks. Like
Our kids could have, Ayana could have made that pick, both those picks. Like there was
I,
no kind of scouting, there was no kind of brilliance behind those
right,
picks.
you were those both top five picks. Like
Right,
you had to. I ain't gonna say you had to take them, but it was just, like
they
you said,
were
it was
clear cut
there.
no brainers. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And we did get T Higgins in the second round, so that's cool. So I'll give them props for some of their even as much as I hate Andy Dalton, getting that out of a second round quarterback that
Yeah.
was pretty good for to get what we got out of him
Yes.
for being drafted in the second round. Cool, I'll give you that. But the remaining of our draft picks have just been terrible year in and year out. We don't, and it's like ESPN will tell you that's why they rated us what they rated us. It's not
This
hard.
ain't even
Like,
ESPN.
why?
This is NFL.com. So like this is like yeah, nah, I'm with you. I'm with
It's
you
not
on that.
hard. It's not hard to pick the right guys, and we always seem to pick the wrong guys year in and year out. Is so. I mean, I don't even have any optimism at any point now. It's almost like rest in peace, Amarius Mims, to your career. Offensive tackle drafted by the Bengals in the first round. When the hell has that ever worked? It hasn't. So I mean, we'll see. But I mean, I feel like we've drafted tight ends in the past couple drafts. We've drafted defensive tackles. We got a safety in the seventh round. We've drafted 90 safeties in the past 3 years. It seems like cornerback, tight end, D tackle. We got another receiver. We don't even know what about Charlie Jones. Is he? Are we just gonna forget about him? What about um I can't pronounce his name. Isovas.
I know you're talking about. I know you're talking about. Yeah.
What about him? Are we giving up on him? What are we doing? We just don't know. And I'm just looking at the guys we drafted here. Some tight ends, D tackles, another first round offensive tackle. That just it never pans out for us. So I don't know.
And this is what they say about this is what they say the analysis. It says Milm is boom or bust pick at tackle. He
But
certainly has the size to win at the next level, but his limited experience, only 8 starts at Georgia, is a concern. The team doubled up on defensive tackles day two as it looks to replace DJ Reader. Burton presents excellent value, and he could become a key contributor in office, especially if the Bengals and T. Higgins don't work out a long term agreement. It says Cincinnati was part of the tight end run in the fourth round, picking all despite injury concerns. Newton had a tough go at times his senior year, but could prove to be a nice fit in the fifth
Always
round.
something. We never get guys that successfully just complete.
Yep.
It's always, oh well, he was kind of hurt. Oh, he's a question mark, or oh, he's a project, or
Yep.
he's a just like the defensive tackle we drafted in the first round last year. I think Buddy had like 10 tackles or something this year. It's just like, what are you doing?
Right. That's crazy. And then they say the same goes for the six rounders, Milakin and Johnson. The Bengals picked Anthony with the seventh round they acquired from Houston for a run for running back Joe Mixon. But yeah, it's just like you
We got
said,
a
like
seventh round pick for Joe Mixon. We
yeah,
should we could have just kept him for that.
yeah, it's the same. Like you said, it's the same stuff. You get two tight ends, you get two defensive linemen, you get two DBs, and you get three offensive linemen. Like that was y'all. That's ultimately y'all draft. Um, so I'm going with grade, the lowest grade to the highest as far as our team. So the next highest team was the Niners. They had a B, which I coming from them because they're usually pretty solid when it comes to drafting. They got a B plus day one, B minus day two, and then a B day three. So they get the receiver. I think their B plus comes from that Florida receiver Ricky
I like him.
Person. Yes, yes. I looked up some of his highlights, man. That dude, hey,
He's a dog.
yeah, he's a dog. Florida State DB Renardo Green. They get Kansas offensive guard Dominic Pooney, which Kansas put out pretty good offensive lineman. Also, Wake Forest DB. I never heard of him. Mustafa, I want to say. Louisville running back Isaac Garindo. Arizona's receiver, Jacob County. I didn't really hear much about him. Jared Kingston from USC, and then Florida State linebacker Bethune. So they didn't have a bunch of picks. They didn't have as many as everybody else, but decent grades. I mean, average grade B. I don't think nobody was below a B minus in this. So, but the Niners know how to turn, you know, low guys on a depth chart into superstars somehow. So I'm not saying none of these guys will be good. I think that Ricky Pearsall really gonna be good to help out, especially if Ayuk and Debo end up moving. Which I wish Ike was here to talk about this, but I heard teams was reaching out during the draft on both of them, but John Lynch kind of stood on his word and said, "Nah, you want to keep his guys."
They better keep him while they don't have to pay Purdy, because once they have to pay
Yeah, because
Purdy,
you got to pay Purdy
they
next year.
don't have to go in,
Yeah, you got to pay Purdy next year. So when he's gonna reset the market.
and that's right. He's not a first rounder, so he didn't. They don't
He
get
didn't
those
get.
5 years.
Nope, he only got two.
Mm.
So after
Yep.
this year, you're going to have to pay him, and then you really got to make a decision. So do you? I mean, you probably. I mean, but well, Ayuk won't. You're not going to be able to. You're not going to like. Maybe you just give Ayuk the money now, and then trade him next year when you got to pay Purdy, and try to get some draft capital to bring in some younger guys because, like you said, you got to pay Warner, uh you done paid your offensive lineman, you done paid McCaffrey, you done pay Debo, you done pay your defensive guys. Like somebody, it's gonna be two or three guys left out.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully some of these guys, and it kind of seemed like they know that by how they drafted. They grabbed a couple DBs. Like, hey, look, we don't have to pay our DBs a lot. We've had some young DBs come through. Offensive lineman, just in case, you know what I mean. You got to let big boy go. Um, Linebacker, you know what I mean. If you
Yeah,
got to make a decision on Warner. Like, so they draft in those positions to kind of see.
and that's what good teams do. I mean, you do draft guys to see what. Well, most teams, and then you got teams like my team that just refuse to do so. So
Yeah.
I don't really know where you go from there.
Colts got a B plus. Um, and the biggest thing with them, they got some good draft capital in the late round. So they got a day one grade of B plus, they got a day two grade of B, and they got a day three grade of A minus. Outside of Latu in the first round, they said, one of the best draft pass rushers, but he had a neck injury, so neck injuries are always tricky.
Right.
while he was at Washington. So as long as that's not a issue, that's good. And then they said a potential steal of Mitchell in the second round if his game matures, and then trading down those day three picks, grabbing grabbing that offensive lineman from Pitt and Jalen Simpson from Auburn. But of course, same thing with you guys recovering from foot injuries, and then you drafting potential Ryan Kelly's replacement from Wisconsin just because he's Kelly's only 31, but he's the oldest offensive lineman we got, so he's been steadfast. So I'm not mad at it. I mean, we addressed our immediate needs early. You got to get some offensive linemen. I mean, like that's just how Ballard likes to build his team. But then you get your weapons. You get a pass rusher, which we needed, opposite of Kitty Pay in that rotation. You get a fast, speedy receiver who can separate at the top of his routes. You know what I mean? He just got to become a better route runner. And then, like I said, you get your replacement at center. You get another receiver who can also get into the return game because the kickoff is changing this year. So you get somebody who got some speed is going to kill in that, I heard, from that layout. And then you get a couple DBs and safeties for, guys you won't have to pay later on. So
Right.
I'm not mad at this at all. But then you look at the Ravens, they had an A minus. And then you look at the Steelers, they had an A just repping for uh, Justin and I know Brandon is just out of his mind right now, even though they grabbed a gang of offensive linemen. So you got the Ravens with a day grade of a B, day two grade of an A, and then a day three grade of an A. And then the Steelers, they had a uh, day one grade of an A, a day two grade of an A, and then a grade B plus is a day three. So they really, really did good in the draft. I'm not gonna go through theirs because they just had great grades. So, but yeah, man. Uh, we'll see, man. It's gonna be again super excited for the NFL season coming up, man. I think with all these quarterbacks, it's always one team that goes from first to last every year in their division. So if you had to think right now, just knowing what we know now, which ain't much, because you still got a gang of free agents and stuff out there. Just thinking what you're thinking now, like a team that was last year. So you look at like a Carolina or Arizona.
Yeah.
Um,
Did the Bengals finish last? I think we did.
yeah, a
Yeah.
Bengals.
Everybody else went to the play. No, yeah, everybody went to
Yep,
the playoffs, I think,
yep.
except. So yeah,
Bengals, Jets, like out of these type of teams, Jaguars, like who do you see or Raiders? Like who do you see making that leap from last to first in their division?
I mean, I could definitely see the Bengals making it to first. I mean, I feel like that division is up and down, but I could also see the Bengals finishing last again. So I mean, it really just depends. But out of those teams, I think the Bengals are the best team, and I feel like they have the best chance of going from 4-1 if I had to pick.
Okay.
But I don't see the Jets actually probably have
I
a
saw
real
that's who my pick was gonna be. I was like, if I had to
yeah,
probably pick, I probably would pick the Jets only
Jets
because
have a good shot too. Although I think that
yeah,
division still goes through Buffalo. Um,
yeah.
I don't know about the Dolphins. I mean, they still have a really good team too, but I'm really, really, really curious to see what the Jets do with Aaron Rodgers and the weapons that they added. So I can't wait to see my boy Garrett with Aaron Rodgers. That's gonna be
Right, like just man, because you really haven't like we know he's young and good, but it's
right.
like you haven't. Nobody's been able to get him the ball like
Bro, he won
how
offensive
Aaron
player of the
Rodgers.
year with homeboy.
Yeah, that's
That's
what I'm
a
saying.
lot.
Yeah, yeah. So just imagine like, and then you throw in
Mike Williams.
Mike Williams if he can stay healthy, but it ain't all on him. Like as a number two,
And then you still got Breeze, and I think you got another running back too, don't you?
uh,
They got somebody else.
they got somebody else.
I
But then
think
you shore up the offensive line in the draft. Like can't get mad at that. They didn't have a good draft, so they must have been one of them low teams and the B's also. Because I wrote down all the A teams, A minus teams, and then I put our teams off to the side because most of our teams had B's. Uh, so you look at the Chiefs; they had an A draft, and the Seahawks had a A draft. So the Steelers, Chiefs, and Seahawks all had an A draft, and then you had the Cardinals, Ravens, Bears, Cowboys, Texans, Jags, Chargers, Rams, Saints, Eagles, Titans, and Commanders all had A minuses in their draft. So they just found a lot of good value in where they were picking. But a lot of those teams were got a lot of draft picks. So you look at the Cardinals; they got a lot of draft picks. Um, You look at the Texans who made a burst this year, but they had got some draft picks last year.
Hmm.
The Jags who finished last in our division, so they had some value down there. A lot of these teams were like low in their division. The Saints, Titans, Commanders, they got some good value drafting late and early and later rounds. So, but yeah, man, no, I agree with you. I think the Jets, if I had to pick, just because, like you said, you don't know what New England gonna be. Miami is still good; they got a good roster, but somehow the closer you get to the playoffs, the worse they play. And then the Bills are lost a lot of talent. I don't think they've replenished it yet, and then you don't know what their offense is gonna look like. So I say the Jets probably have the easiest route to kind of jump into that number one. Uh, from being last. Because you look at Minnesota in the North, I don't think they make that jump. Uh,
Minnesota finished last in the division last year.
I believe so because you had Green. Oh
No
no,
way,
the
the Bears.
Bears, the
Yeah.
Bears. No.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Oh, we slept. We
they
slept.
have a chance too, man.
The Bears. Yes.
They have a
You know
chance.
what? I'm changing my pick.
They
I'm
got a
going to the
chance.
Bears because
Although
yeah,
the Packers look good, Packers look good, and the
But yeah,
Lions
the
look like
Packers
they're
and the
gonna be
Lions
good
look
for a
really
while
good
too.
though.
But the Bears definitely have a potent offense. A
Very.
homeboy got weapons. He can run too. He can pass. He could
And
throw off
the
the run.
defense showed out. The defense was
Yeah,
was was top
man.
10 at the end of the
Bears can make
season.
some noise this year.
Yeah.
Three solid,
Wow.
solid receivers.
Wow.
So yeah, that the Bears could possibly
Yeah. Cuz I
go
don't see Arizona making that jump.
no.
I don't see
Raiders,
the I don't
no.
see the Panthers making that jump. The
I don't see
Jags, I don't think they jumped the one,
Arizona.
especially with the Texans and how they've been playing. I don't see them jumping.
Yeah, no.
Uh the rate the Raiders, they're not going to overtake Kansas City. Yeah, nah, yeah. It's either the Bears or the Jets. So if I had to do AFC, Jets, NFC, Bears.
Fair enough.
Fair enough, man. Okay, man. That's all I got, man. I guess, man. Final thoughts, man. Anything
Man,
we defunding? We
D-
defunding
yeah,
anything?
oh yeah. So really quick, we're defunding Xfinity and Bally Sports. They got rid of Bally Sports. So 12, I think it's 12 teams are coming off the air. So I'm losing the
12
red.
teams in what in
So like there's
different
Bally
sports?
Sports has 12 teams that they like regionally
Oh,
sponsor
okay.
or show their
Okay.
games. A couple of them are the Braves, the Reds, the Twins,
Okay.
maybe the Tigers. I think like maybe the Diamondbacks. I think it's like 12 teams that are coming off of Xfinity. So I don't know how I'm gonna be able to watch the Reds. I'm probably not. I'm probably gonna have to finesse
Dang.
something in order to watch them. But yeah,
Talk to Ike, man. He be knowing all the little
it's
backdoor
fun.
plugs
Yeah,
too.
I'll holler at him. But also, Deion Sanders got to chill. I know y'all love that ignorant shit and that rah rah, and I know people like that shit, but he got to chill. I don't know if you saw what was the latest, but he's like the players that are leaving are getting into it with some of the current
Oh yes, I did.
he's
I
like
did
he's
see.
like co-signing like slanderous shit. Come on, dog.
Well, I did see. I guess one of the DBs was talking crazy about Shadur Sanders, and then like Shadur Sanders was kind of like, I mean, I don't even know who this guy is.
I'm
Like
gonna
he
tell
had.
you how it happened. So it wasn't even. It didn't even. From what I read, it didn't go down like that. So a
Okay.
guy left. A guy made some comments. Nothing crazy, but he made some comments. Basically saying that Prime never got to even know him, and he didn't feel like confidence was being instilled in him. So he
Mm,
left, which I get that because that's life. Shit like
that's
that.
important.
And from knowing what I know about Prime, it's believable. It's believable. He seems like a guy that's not. If you ain't his handpicked, then he ain't. He ain't messing with you. That's not how you coach.
Right.
Um. So he said he made the comments, and then Shador said, "Oh well, I didn't even know him," which is a problem too, because if you're the quarterback, you should know your teammates, and even if they're
Yeah,
good or not good, you should know them. And then even if you did know them, you don't say that unless you're trying to stir the pot.
that's
So
true.
one so I seen something on Twitter or X where a defensive, it might have been the same guy, but I think it was another guy. Um, they had got into it, and one of the teammates of the guy that transferred from Colorado had said it's crazy. No, one of the wide receivers that's currently at Colorado posted a route from practice where he burned the DB that's
Hmm.
no longer at Colorado. So the guy, the DB's teammate that's no longer at Colorado, said, "Hey man, but you had 38 yards last season." Like, which like, why are you talking? You only had 38 yards. So then,
Right.
um, somebody said something back, and then come to find out the guys had like 30 something tackles in over 3 years. So, and then Dion
Mm.
tweeted it talking about Lord Jesus or something like that. Like, bro, that's out of pocket.
Yes, but also just I mean, just knowing Dion, so to kind of back up what you're saying, with that also is like when people leave, and I heard Dion have an interview because somebody was asking him about it. It's like, look, when people enter the portal, he has this mindset, and you kind of gotta have this mindset of like,
Yeah.
okay, if he was the people that's important to our program aren't leaving. The dogs, the people that we're depending on to help us win games, aren't the ones leaving.
Where you were 4-8.
I mean, okay,
He's
but
talking like he was 10-1 or some shit.
but if you don't, should we act like we were 4-8, or are we looking like, okay, this is a team
Should
that
you be
won one?
humble?
No, I'm
Should
just
you be
saying, like,
humble? Yeah.
but this is a team that won one game last year. And for us to win three more and to be in a bunch of games and everything we done just for this community, it's like, okay, cool. I got to keep instilling that confidence because that's what kids come there
But you're
for.
not. That's why the guy left, because he said you weren't
But that's
instilling
but
confidence.
that's one player.
I
I
get that,
got
but a
I
lot of
got
these
a
guys,
hundred. I
that's
got you. Got to think a
that's
college
just the one
roster.
that said something. That's not saying that this isn't. And like we see Deion Sanders, he's clearly on some bullshit. He's clearly on some bullshit. He's clearly playing for clicks, like they said last year. That's what he's doing. And this is my favorite football player of all time. But
Same.
these antics, this is bullshit, and it's gonna come and bite him in the ass. He said something about, well, my son's gonna be a top 5 pick. Okay, all right, reality's gonna come and bite him in the ass, and it's gonna hurt. And I would just chill out if I was him. But go ahead and cook.
I
Go ahead and cook.
what do you think he won't be?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm just I,
Do I
I'm
think
just I
do I
mean
think
next
that
year.
he could be one of the best quarterbacks in the league? I don't see it. I don't see it. But it's not up to me. But it's just that's the same thing with LeBron. Like you putting so much pressure on your kids by thinking that and that's why I was never on the train with the ball. You gotta be quiet because you're putting targets on your kids for no reason, and
Yeah,
that's
but
what he's
like
doing
with
with the kids.
LeBron, most of the time, either he avoids the question or if he do say something, he say, "Look, it's up to Bronny. I'm just letting him be."
No, saying stuff like, "Yeah, Bronny could be playing on over a bunch of these guys in the league." That's quote unquote. Bronny could be playing on a lot of these teams now. That's putting a target on his back. And now when your son goes out and averages 3 points and 1 assist, everybody's like, "Well, 2 months ago you said he could play at NBA," which I'm not saying that he can't, because I mean you can't deny that DNA and that brain. Like you can. I'm not saying that he can't, but you're putting a target on his back. You gotta chill. You gotta chill.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to turn off. I mean, both of us, of course, being dads and both having young sons.
I'm definitely not
I
gonna
can't wait.
blame.
I can't wait till they get old enough to play.
Yeah, facts.
Because I'm that dad. I'm that dad.
All
I'm
right.
yelling at refs. Like
Hopefully your son ain't gonna be getting cooked, because I'm gonna
I
probably
hope
be
not.
cooked.
Like, hey, look, I hope not. Like, I'm gonna support him in
Hopefully
whatever
he
he
ain't
do. He
getting
may not.
cooked.
He may grow up and not want to do sports.
Because me being
Whatever.
your boy, I'm gonna tap you. I'm like, hey, Spider out there getting cooked, man. We might want to. You know,
But
I would that would be good money.
I'm also one of the ones too, and Ayana can attest to this. Like, hey, when she ain't playing good, like when we was at volleyball games,
Yeah,
and I'm looking at her. Hey, lock in. Hey, you need to. Hey, I'm still on this. I'm getting on her. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
I'm
We
also
both
when they
parent
play.
like that now, so I'm definitely rolling with that.
Yeah, nah.
But
But
I'm
I mean,
definitely not gonna.
I think as these famous, like you look at Dion, and it's like it's hard to turn that support off for your kids, especially when you're coaching your
I'm
kids. It's
not
really
saying turn the
hard.
support off. I'm just saying turn off the extra shit, bro. The extra shit is
But
what I think.
Dion's been extra forever.
Bro, no. So you're saying Dion is conducting himself like any other coach that we've ever seen
No,
in
I'm
history.
saying Dion has been
He's not
extra
operating like
forever.
any other coach has in the history of college football on any level.
But
He's like worse than
but
them
that's what.
last teams you niggas.
But that's but Dion. We knew Dion was not gonna operate like everybody else.
Get cooked. Don't get cooked, nigga. That's all I gotta say. Don't get cooked. Don't let your doer get cooked because now you giving people ammo and fire to really be slanderous, like and to
Yeah,
put
but
your
they've
shit out
all
there.
but it's been like that. Like ever since he announced to going to Colorado, like he's been like that. When they
Nobody's
were losing, everybody
Shiloh
was
like
on his
that.
head. But
Nobody's really on Shiloh like that because he's not hyping Shiloh up. Shiloh is really not good. If you watch him tackle, he's not good. He's not good. He doesn't rap like he's not good. He'll try to run into you like a missile. He's not good. But you don't see him hyping him up. So Shiloh is kind of under the radar, but he's hyping Shadur up, and hey, we see it so much where these guys that are projected to do these different things and they don't, and he, hey, you putting a
I
target
mean,
on your son. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, but I mean, even when they don't though, you look at some players that don't even have the targets and just don't pan out. So I mean, the margin of error is very slim anyway. And I just look at me being a dad like, hey, if my son even has the slightest potential, you don't know what it's gonna take to, like you said, get him over that hump, or you know what I mean. So if I know, especially if I was a Hall of Famer in any sport, I don't even care. You know what I mean? And my son is coming up behind me. It's like, hey, I want him to feel how I felt or
Just
what I
let him
didn't feel.
kill. The talking. Let him do the talking on the field. Let him kill. If my son, which my son will be nice at something. He's gonna be nice at something.
So that's something.
I'm gonna let him kill. Like just go out there and win. I'm not. You don't gotta hear me. I don't gotta say nothing. If you get dragged, like Marvin Harrison, you didn't see his dad tiptoeing all over the media, and well, he wasn't coaching him, but just let Marvin Harrison Jr. cook, bro. And he cooked, and he got drafted high.
But he also,
Hell,
but Marvin Harrison also saying, "Oh, I wish my son would complain for the ball more." You know what I mean? Oh, we're not going to the combine. You know what I mean? We're not running any. We're
yeah,
going
a
to
lot
work
of
on
guys
our.
don't do that.
I mean, I'm just saying though, like, but these are things that Marvin Harrison Senior was saying. Like, this
But
wasn't coming from Marvin
that's
Harrison
not
Jr.
that's not that's Mark compare Marvin Harrison Sr. to what Deion Sanders is doing.
No, I'm not. But he's not a.
It's not
I
even
mean, he's
close.
not a coach in the public. First of all, Marvin Harrison, like we said last time, over this past year is the most we've ever heard him talk or be quoted ever.
Right,
So and this is coming from somebody who watched the coach through his whole career. Like,
right.
you couldn't even get him to celebrate a touchdown. He handed the ball to the ref. He just jogged back over to the side. Like, I only think he ever spiked the ball. So it's just, you know what I mean? Different parents have different ways of going about things. And hey, if you used to this, Dion being who Dion was as a player all the way through his career and now being that way as a coach who ultimately helped change the way college football is now, run through the portal and all these things, and even probably had a hand, what I mean, NILs and things that like all of that revolutionized. Like everybody's looking for that type of coach. You know what I mean? Win, lose, or draw, he the same guy. I would take that over somebody who talk crazy. You know what I mean when they winning, and then tuck they head between their tails when they losing. Dion is the
Or
same
just
guy,
or
even
just
when they lose.
or just stay even kill when they. I mean, it's not a matter if you having to tuck your tail, but like when guys said that Dion is their team is playing for clicks, that's what they're doing. That's just I'm sticking to that. So we'll
And
see next year, and we'll see what Shadur does in the draft as far as where he goes to. I just think, and this is my last statement on it. I
no,
just
look,
think that he's putting an extra target. Now his son is. I feel like his son is embracing it. Cool, but you're putting an extra target on your son, and that is just what it is.
and I think if his son had a problem, like you say, he's embracing it. I think if his son had an issue with it, I don't think he would do it, or he
Yeah.
wouldn't talk about his son in the light that he does.
All right. But
Because
yeah,
I know if my dad was doing, I mean, at some point you're gonna put your dad. You gotta chill out.
no, I
Like my
feel
daughter, like my
bad. I
daughter,
feel
like
bad for him to chill out. You
my
got
daughter, like, hey, she didn't know what was coming when you want to play volleyball. Cool, I'll be at every game. You know what I mean? And I didn't miss a game. Even when she sat out, when games she didn't play, I was still there. But again, she didn't know what was coming. She didn't know how the support was. She didn't know how I was gonna act. But after game one, she was like, "Oh shoot, I'm coming, and I'm gonna be me. Win, lose, or draw, I'm gonna be me."
all right. Yeah.
Opposing teams hated it. Our team loved it. They like, man, you need to be coaching. Look, man, I'm out here. I'm acting a donkey. I'm gonna support mine to the fullest. You can sit in the stands and be quiet where your daughter has a good game. My daughter has a good game. Everybody in this stadium gonna know my daughter's having a good game. I had people mugging me after games, all type of stuff. So I don't know, man. I guess it's just I don't know, man. I ain't never been on that level before, but I guess it got to be hard. But anyway, man, if that's it, we do we that's it, man. We see y'all next week, man. I guess next week, maybe just us two, maybe a few more. So
Maybe just Vernon by himself. Find
it
out.
could be, it
I don't
could
know.
be, it could be. But Ike said I can never do a show by myself anymore. I did that before. He was like, "Look, it was the worst thing ever." He's like, "You can't do a show by yourself no more." I was like, "All right, cool."
It's nuts.
All right, y'all, man. This has been the Epic Podcast, man. We'll see y'all again next week, man.
Yes, sir.
Holla.